After 5 months of marriage, my husband Wendell and I were living on our farm in Pennsylvania. It was a hobby farm. We loved it. We farmed with horses, and we were learning to get to know each other. I was not a domesticated wife. I did not know how to cook. Period. I did not know how to cook. And I didn't know many things that a young woman usually knows. When I did laundry, I threw it all in together, usually in hot water. And when I shrunk his navy blues, that was not good. Anyway, he dealt with a lot with me as a new wife. And we were just learning how to be a husband and a wife. And there were challenges, but we were new Christians, washed in the blood, whiter than snow. I try to think of all those verses that were promises that we clung to because our personalities were so different. And no matter how long you know each other before marriage, after you say I do, it's different. In 1978, Wendell and I sold our hobby farm and bought a dairy farm in New York State. We worked very hard. Our kids worked hard. It was like 4 a.m. till long after dark, day in and day out. We had a good church and a good church family. We still sang on Sunday nights. We went to church Wednesday nights, but you never got away from that farm. It was work, work, work. In 1984, Wendell and I decided that we weren't making it on the dairy farm. We needed to make a change, and it's better to do it at 35 than wait till we're 50. Those were his words. So we packed up our 5 children, which we had at this point, and headed to Virginia. We moved into an old Civil War era house. It was awesome, very historic and full of mice. Oh, it was just a real experience, but we felt free. We felt so free in that new environment. And he got a job as a carpenter with a friend of ours who went to church. And he found he did so well there. And he didn't have to be the boss. He could just come home at night. And that lasted maybe a month. With Wendell's newfound talent in cabinet making, we brought an old piece of equipment into the dirt basement of that Civil War house. And right there is where our family began Burkholder's fine cabinetry. And God prospered it. As the cabinet shop continued to prosper, we found ourselves so blessed. We built a new home in Stewart's Draft. We were able to raise Belgian draft horses on the farm. So beautiful. Wendell found he could build wagons, antique wagons, restored them. They were gorgeous. He had so many gifts, and it felt like life was very good. One summer day in 1993, Wendell was getting ready for the Stewart's Draft Firemen's Parade, getting horses ready, and I got a phone call. They said Wendell was kicked by one of the horses. That guy had been in so many scrapes over the years. I headed to Waynesboro Hospital, not real concerned, because he had just come through everything. But that day it wasn't to be so. And even though I didn't get terrible news when I got there, it began to get worse. And then he was flown by Pegasus to Charlottesville. After 2 days, he passed away, and our lives forever changed at that point. I can remember driving up the driveway of our farm, looking at the horses in the field, just like they were every day, but now it was different. Looking at the mare that was going to have a baby. We named her Hope, because our hope was in Christ. He was my best friend before this happened, and I knew he was going to be with us. He said, "I will never leave you. I will never forsake you." And those were promises that we as a family clung to. Prayer became who I was, and my relationship with God was a beautiful one-on-one relationship. And He continued to bless us in healing our hearts. We were all broken in different ways, but God brought the healing and the restoration. He is my Redeemer, and He literally redeemed us from the pit of not only the journey of our lives, but now my husband was in heaven waiting for me. On his tombstone we put "Gone home," because that's what it was. He's just home. He's waiting for us. What a joy to look forward to seeing him again. I have grandchildren in heaven, and He knows them before I do. It's a beautiful thing, the hope of today, the hope of tomorrow, because Christ is the center. And it's not only about this life, it's about turning the page to the next part of the journey.